Commander Sarah Chen stared out the viewport of the Earth ship Harmony as it approached Centaurus Station. The massive ring-shaped structure glittered against the backdrop of space, home to the Galactic Council where 27 alien civilizations met. Sarah's stomach tightened. As leader of humanity's first official delegation, the weight of Earth's future rested on her shoulders. "It's going to be okay, Max," she whispered, scratching behind the ears of her German shepherd. Max wasn't supposed to be here. Pets were strictly against protocol for diplomatic missions. But Sarah couldn't bear to leave behind the dog who had helped her through the worst of her PTSD after the Mars colony disaster. She had smuggled him aboard in a special container, claiming it held sensitive equipment. "This is our moment in history, boy," she said. "Just stay quiet in my quarters." The Harmony docked with a gentle bump. Sarah straightened her blue uniform and joined the other 12 delegates in the airlock. Captain Rivera gave final instructions. "Remember, we represent all of humanity. The aliens have technology centuries beyond ours. Be respectful, be careful what you say, and follow protocol." The airlock opened. A group of aliens waited in the reception area. The tallest were blue-skinned with 4 arms. Others looked like walking plants. One group reminded Sarah of giant butterflies. And there at the edge stood insect-like creatures with shiny black exoskeletons. The Vesperi. An alien with silver skin stepped forward. "Welcome, humans of Earth. I am Ambassador Zorn. The Galactic Council has awaited this day." Sarah bowed slightly. "We are honored to join this gathering of worlds." The tour of Centaurus Station took 3 hours. They saw gardens with plants from 100 worlds, a market where strange goods were traded, and finally, their living quarters. Each delegate received a private room in the diplomatic wing. Once alone, Sarah released Max from its hiding place. The dog stretched and padded around the room, sniffing everything. "What do you think, Max? Strange place, huh?" Later that evening, delegates from all worlds gathered in the Grand Hall for a welcome ceremony. Hidden cameras in Sarah's quarters showed Max peacefully sleeping on her bed. She could finally relax and focus on her duties. Ambassador Zorn gave a formal speech, followed by representatives from major council races. When the Vesperi delegate rose to speak, something unexpected happened. Sarah's communicator vibrated. An alert from her quarters. She glanced at the small screen and froze. Max was no longer sleeping. He stood rigid, hackles raised, teeth bared, staring directly at the wall that connected to the Grand Hall. The Vesperi speaker droned on about peace and cooperation. Sarah looked from her screen to the insectoid alien, and back again. Something wasn't right. That night, while other delegates slept, Sarah returned to her quarters. Max still acted strangely, pawing at the ventilation system near the shared wall. "What is it, boy?" she whispered. She ran her fingers along the vent and felt something tiny. Using a pocket tool, she carefully extracted it. A device smaller than a grain of rice. It looked like nothing Earth had ever made. Sarah's breath caught. Someone was spying on Earth's delegation, and without Max, they would never have known. "Good boy," she whispered, heart racing. "I think you just changed the course of human history." Sarah held the tiny device between her fingers, wondering what to do next. She couldn't go to the alien security team. She didn't know who to trust. Instead, she approached Captain Rivera in his quarters. A listening device. Rivera examined it under a portable scanner. Definitely not Earth technology. But who put it there, and why? "I don't know," Sarah said. "But Max found it. My dog has better instincts than most people I know." Rivera frowned. "You brought your dog." "Commander, that's against every rule in the book. And it might have just saved our mission," Sarah countered. "Something about the Vesperi makes Max nervous. I think we should be careful around them." The next morning, the Earth delegation was assigned quarters in the diplomatic wing next to the Arcturians. Tall, slender beings with pale blue skin and silver eyes. Their leader, Ambassador Thelm, spotted Max during a surprise visit to Sarah's room. Instead of reporting the breach of protocol, Thelm seemed fascinated. "What a magnificent creature," the Arcturian said, kneeling down. Max approached cautiously, sniffed Thelm's hand, then wagged his tail. "In all our travels, we have never seen a species that keeps companion animals like humans do." Sarah relaxed a little. "Dogs have been our companions for thousands of years. They help us hunt, protect us, and some, like Max, can detect dangers humans can't sense." "Truly remarkable," Thelm said. "May I ask why this one is here? Against your protocols?" Sarah decided to trust the Arcturian. "Max helps me manage stress from old battle wounds, but now he may be helping our entire delegation." She explained about the listening device. Later that day, all delegations gathered for the first trade negotiation. Earth, with little to offer technologically, hoped to trade rare minerals and cultural items. The Arcturians, surprisingly, seemed eager to establish relations with humans. During a break in the talks, Max began acting strangely again. He paced in circles, whining softly while staring at one of the Arcturian aides who had been quietly taking notes. "What's wrong, boy?" Sarah whispered, trying not to draw attention. Max's behavior grew more insistent. Sarah caught Thelm's eye, and subtly pointed toward Max, then toward the aide. Thelm's silver eyes narrowed. The Arcturian leader approached the aide and spoke in their musical language. Suddenly, the aide lunged for the door. 2 Arcturian guards blocked the way. "Security," Thelm called out. "This individual is not Arcturian." The room erupted in chaos. The aide was restrained, and a device on his wrist was deactivated. His appearance shimmered and changed, revealing a green-skinned being with ridged features. "A Proximan," Thelm explained to the shocked Earth delegation. "Corporate spies from the Proxima system. They've been trying to steal our biotechnology for decades." The security team found documents in the spy's possession that would have given him access to Earth's negotiation strategy. After the spy was taken away, Thelm approached Sarah. "Your companion detected what our security systems missed. A mimetic disguise that fooled even my people." Word spread quickly through the station. By dinner, 3 other delegations had requested private meetings with Earth's representatives. "I don't understand," Rivera said as they walked to the first meeting. "Suddenly, everyone wants to talk to us." Sarah looked down at Max walking beside her, his tail wagging proudly. "I think," she said with a smile, "they want to meet our universal translator." News of Max's abilities spread quickly through Centaurus Station. 3 days after the spy incident, a formal message arrived from the Galactic Council. "They want a demonstration," Captain Rivera said, reading the message to the Earth delegation. "They've asked if we can show how Earth dogs detect threats." Sarah's heart sank. Max isn't trained for demonstrations. He just reacts to things. "Then we need more dogs," Rivera decided. He sent an urgent message to Earth, requesting handlers and specially trained dogs to join their mission. While they waited, the Earth delegation suddenly found themselves very popular. Alien representatives who had previously ignored humans now sought meetings with them. One evening, Sarah brought Max to the station's common dining area. As they walked between tables, Max suddenly stopped and began growling at a food container on the buffet table. It held blue fruits that humans had been told were safe to eat. "What is it, boy?" Sarah knelt beside Max, who refused to move closer to the fruit. She called over a station security officer, who scanned the fruit with a handheld device. "There's a trace compound here," the officer said, looking surprised. "Harmless to most species, but potentially dangerous to humans based on your biology." The officer looked at Max with new respect. "Your detection animal found something our routine scans missed." By the next day, alien diplomats were requesting dog inspections of their quarters and meeting rooms. Sarah tried to explain that Max wasn't trained for security suites, but the aliens insisted. "I never thought I'd see the day when advanced spacefaring civilizations would rely on an Earth dog for security," Rivera said, shaking his head in wonder. A week later, 3 Earth transport ships arrived carrying 15 handlers and their specially trained dogs. bomb detectors, drug sniffers, search and rescue specialists. The Galactic Council had cleared an entire level of the station for what they called the Earth Embassy. The first official demonstration was scheduled in the main council chamber. Representatives from all 27 species gathered to watch as the dogs and their handlers walked around the massive room. Everything was going smoothly until Max and two other dogs, a Labrador named Scout and a Border Collie named Pip, began acting distressed at the same moment. All three dogs barked frantically at the center of the chamber where nothing seemed out of place. "Clear the room," the Arcturian ambassador Theln ordered immediately. "If all three animals detect something, we must take it seriously." Some representatives grumbled, but they filed out of the chamber. 5 minutes later, station security detected an invisible energy buildup in the exact spot the dogs had indicated. "It's a cascading quantum pulse," the chief security officer explained later. "Our systems weren't programmed to detect it until it reached dangerous levels. If we had stayed in that room 5 more minutes, everyone would have been killed." Investigation revealed the pulse came from a faulty piece of equipment beneath the floor. An accident, not sabotage. But the incident confirmed what many were beginning to suspect. Earth's dogs can sense things that the most advanced technology in the galaxy misses. Theln told Sarah, "Your planet's simple animals may be the greatest detection system ever discovered." Sarah scratched Max behind the ears. "Not so simple," she corrected. "Just different from what you're used to." Earth suddenly became the most talked about planet in the galaxy. Ships from distant worlds arrived at Centaurus Station daily, carrying scientists eager to study the remarkable abilities of Earth's dogs. The newly established Earth Embassy now housed 30 dogs of different breeds. Sarah watched with pride as Max, once smuggled aboard in secret, now had his own special badge as an official diplomatic asset. "I still can't believe this," Sarah told Rivera as they watched alien scientists run tests in the special research lab. "They have ships that can fold space, but they're amazed by a beagle's nose." An Arcturian science team discovered that dogs' sense of smell was far more complex than anyone had realized. They could detect not just odors, but also subtle changes in energy fields, radiation levels, and even certain quantum disturbances. "Your dogs evolved on a planet with unique environmental conditions," explained Theln. "They developed senses that no other species in the galaxy thought to look for because we followed different evolutionary paths." The Vesperi, who had initially seemed offended by Max's reaction to them, now approached the Earth delegation with an unexpected request. "Our colony ships have been experiencing strange failures," the Vesperi ambassador chittered through a translator. "Our engineers can find no cause. Would your detection animals be willing to help?" Sarah and a team of handlers brought 5 dogs to the massive Vesperi high ship docked at the station. The dogs immediately began behaving strangely around certain engine components. When engineers opened the sealed sections, they found tiny organisms eating away at crucial parts. They're microscopic creatures that evolved specifically to be invisible to insectoid senses, a Vesperi engineer explained with shock. "We never knew they existed because we couldn't detect them." That evening, Sarah returned to her quarters to find a message tablet on her bed. The screen showed a simple text: "Call off your dogs or lose them one by one." Sarah immediately reported the threat to station security, who promised to increase protection around the Earth Embassy. But the next morning, a handler reported that his search dog, Rico, was missing from the secure kennel area. "Someone managed to bypass our locks," the security chief said, examining the door. "But how did they get past the surveillance?" 2 days later, Sarah was walking Max down a quiet corridor when she noticed him sniffing intently at an air vent. Following his lead, she discovered a small tracking device hidden inside. "Someone's watching us," she told Rivera. "I think whoever sent that threat is monitoring our movements." That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the missing dog and wondering who might want to stop their work at the station. "What do you think, Max?" she whispered. "What are we dealing with here?" As if in answer, Max suddenly jumped up from his bed, hackles raised. He stared at the corner of the room where the shadows seemed slightly darker than they should be. Sarah slowly reached for her communicator, never taking her eyes off that corner. "Security," she whispered. "I need a team in my quarters immediately, and bring the Arcturian ambassador." She watched as the shadow seemed to shift slightly. "I don't know who or what you are," she said firmly to the darkness, "but my dog sees you. And that means your secret is about to end." Security arrived at Sarah's quarters within minutes. Max never stopped growling at the corner, but when the lights came on full power, nothing unusual appeared to be there. "I don't see anything," said the security chief, a tall alien from the Rigel system. Theln, the Arcturian ambassador, moved closer to the corner. "There was something here," the blue-skinned alien said softly. "I can sense a disturbance, like an echo in the air." The next morning, Sarah organized a search for the missing dog, Rico. She gathered 4 handlers and their dogs, including Max. "Let them sniff Rico's blanket," she instructed. "Then we'll split up and check different sections of the station." Max led Sarah down into the lower levels where maintenance crews rarely went. The corridors grew darker and narrower. Suddenly, Max stopped, ears forward, body rigid. "What is it, boy?" Sarah whispered. Max moved cautiously toward a wall that seemed ordinary. But when Sarah examined it closely, she noticed a slight shimmer. She pressed her hand against it and gasped when her fingers went straight through what looked like solid metal. "It's a hidden door," she realized. "Some kind of hologram." Sarah called the other search teams. Together, they passed through the false wall into a hidden corridor that wasn't on any station map. Max and the other dogs led them deeper until they reached a large room filled with strange equipment. "Look," one handler cried. In the center of the room were several clear containers. Inside each one was a sleeping dog, including the missing Rico. Sarah checked the nearest container. Rico was breathing but wouldn't wake up. Before they could free the dogs, they heard a strange whisper-like sound. From the shadows stepped a creature unlike any they had seen before. It seemed partly transparent, with a body that shifted like smoke. Where its face should be, there were only 2 glowing points of light. "Umbrax," Thelm gasped. "They're supposed to be myths." The shadow creature spoke in a voice that seemed to echo inside their heads. "We have existed alongside you for millennia, watching, guiding from the shadows. Until these creatures came." It pointed at Max, who was barking furiously. "These earth animals can sense us when no other species can. They threaten everything we have built." More shadow creatures appeared around them. Sarah realized with horror that they had walked into a trap. "What do you want?" she demanded. "Why take our dogs?" "To study them," the Umbrax replied. "To learn why they alone can detect us, and then to eliminate that ability." Sarah slowly reached for her emergency beacon. "You've been manipulating the council, haven't you? Controlling things from behind the scenes." "We maintain order," the creature said. "We have guided the development of 1,000 worlds." Before Sarah could press her beacon, the shadow creatures surged forward. But Max and the other dogs formed a protective circle around the humans, their barking seeming to cause the Umbrax physical pain. In the confusion, Sarah managed to activate her beacon. "Station security. Emergency and maintenance section D. We found an unauthorized laboratory and unknown aliens." As alarms began to sound, the Umbrax leader fixed his glowing eyes on Sarah. "You have exposed us, human. Now the Shadow War begins." The news of the Umbrax discovery spread through Centaurus Station like wildfire. Many alien representatives refused to believe the reports. Shadow beings that had been manipulating galactic politics for centuries. It seemed impossible. But the evidence was hard to deny. Security teams had captured video of the shadow creatures before they escaped. The secret laboratory contained files showing Umbrax influence in dozens of major political decisions across the galaxy. 3 days after the confrontation, the Galactic Council called an emergency session. "We face an unprecedented threat," the council leader announced. These umbracs have been operating unknown to us for generations. Our only reliable means of detecting them appears to be Earth's canines. Sarah sat in the front row, Max at her feet. The council leader turned to her. Commander Chen, the council is creating a special task force. We need human handlers and their dogs deployed throughout key locations in the galaxy. Will Earth assist us? Sarah stood. Earth stands with the Galactic Council. We will help however we can. And so began what the humans privately called Operation Bloodhound. Transport ships carried dog handler teams to government centers, military bases, and major space stations across Council territory. Sarah was appointed to lead the operation from Centaurus Station. Meanwhile, scientists worked to understand exactly what dogs were sensing when they detected the umbracs. The breakthrough came from an unlikely team, Arcturian telepaths working alongside Earth veterinarians. They discovered something remarkable while scanning canine brains. It's incredible, Dr. Pegel told Sarah, showing her the brain scans. Dogs' brains process certain stimuli in a fourth-dimensional pattern. No other species in the galaxy developed this ability. Feln added, "We believe dogs evolved this way because of umbracs' visits to Earth throughout your planet's history. Your folklore about dogs sensing ghosts or supernatural beings, they were actually sensing umbracs all along." Sarah scratched Max's ears. "So that's why they fear our dogs. They'd been able to hide from every advanced species, but not from our oldest friends." The umbracs didn't remain inactive. Strange accidents began happening to dog handler teams. Equipment failures, food contamination, and navigation errors plagued the operation. One evening, Sarah found Theln waiting outside her quarters. "We've detected unusual energy patterns in the Council's central database," the Arcturian said quietly. "We think the umbracs are trying to erase all records of their existence." Sarah nodded. "They want to return to the shadows, make everyone think this was all a mistake or mass hysteria." "There's more," Theln said, voice dropping lower. "Our scientists found something in the data from your dogs. We think we know why canines evolved to detect the umbracs." "Why?" Sarah asked. "Because the umbracs have been experimenting on Earth for thousands of years. Your planet was one of their first projects. Dogs didn't just evolve to detect them. They evolved to protect humans from them." Sarah looked down at Max, who gazed back with wise, trusting eyes. "All these years," she whispered, "they've been protecting us without us even knowing what from." "The question now," Theln said grimly, "is whether the galaxy has enough dogs to protect us all." Operation Bloodhound began to uncover umbracs infiltration at the highest levels of galactic society. On the planet Rigel, a dog named Bella alerted to the Prime Minister during a public ceremony. On Tau Ceti Station, a border collie named Jack detected an umbrax hiding inside the chief engineer. When confronted, some possessed officials simply vanished into shadows. Others fought back with strange powers before being captured. "They're panicking," Sarah told the emergency council meeting. "They've operated in secret for so long, they don't know how to fight in the open." The umbrax leadership, realizing their cover was blown, decided to strike back. All across the galaxy, key defensive systems suddenly failed at the same time. Communication networks went down. Power grids shut off. "It's a coordinated attack," Captain Rivera reported as Centaurus Station's lights flickered. "They're targeting our infrastructure." Sarah received an urgent message from the station's central security hub. "All systems failing. Strange shadows in control room." "We need to get there now," she told Rivera. She whistled for Max and grabbed her emergency kit. "Call all available dog teams to meet us." When they arrived at the security hub, the doors were sealed. Sarah could hear shouting inside. Using an emergency override code, she opened the door to find chaos. The security team was fighting against their own chief, who moved with unnatural speed. His eyes glowed with an eerie light. Several officers lay unconscious on the floor. "Umbrax!" Sarah shouted. Max charged forward, barking furiously. The possessed security chief turned toward them, his face twisting in a way no human face should move. When he saw Max, fear flashed across his features. "Keep that creature away from me," he growled, his voice overlapping with another, deeper voice. Max cornered the possessed man against a control panel. The security chief tried to escape, but every time he moved, Max blocked his path. Finally, in desperation, the man's body began to change. His form became smoky and transparent as the Umbrax tried to leave its human host. But something unexpected happened. As the Umbrax emerged, Max lunged forward and bit into the shadowy form. The Umbrax let out a terrible shriek. Where Max's teeth made contact, the shadow being seemed to solidify. It can't phase shift while in contact with the dog, Rivera realized. The Umbrax collapsed to the floor, partly solid now. The security team quickly contained it in an energy field. The chief medical officer examined samples from Max's mouth. "There's something in canine saliva," she reported hours later. "A unique organic compound that affects the Umbrax's molecular structure. It forces them to remain in physical form." Sarah stroked Max's fur. "So that's why they fear dogs so much. Dogs don't just detect them. They can actually hurt them." News of this discovery spread quickly. The Umbrax, realizing their vulnerability, accelerated their plans. Station sensors detected massive energy buildup in several sectors of space. "They're gathering their forces," Theln warned. "Our intelligence suggests they have a headquarters hidden somewhere on this very station." Sarah looked at the map of Centaurus. "If I were a shadow being who'd been hiding for centuries, where would I hide my base?" Max walked to the holographic display and barked at a section that appeared empty on the map. "There," Sarah said, pointing to where Max indicated. "That's where we'll find them." The Galactic Council prepared for a direct assault on the Umbrax headquarters. Scientists worked day and night to create a weapon based on the compound found in dog saliva. "We've isolated the chemical," Dr. Paddle explained to Sarah. "It's a protein that dogs produce naturally. We've made it into a spray that should work against the Umbrax." Sarah studied the plans for the attack. The hidden Umbrax base was located in a space between dimensions, folded into the structure of Centaurus Station itself. Only a small team could enter through the access point Max had identified. "I'll lead the strike team," Sarah volunteered. "Max and I found them. We should be the ones to finish this." The team assembled at the entry point. Sarah, Captain Rivera, 4 security officers, and 6 dog handlers with their canine partners. Each person carried multiple canisters of the synthesized spray. "Remember," Sarah told them, "our mission is to disable their dimensional technology. Without it, they can't hide or control their hosts." Max led them through the hidden entrance. The passage beyond seemed to bend and twist in impossible ways. The walls shimmered with strange energies. Several team members felt dizzy as their brains struggled to process the unnatural geometry. They emerged into a vast chamber that couldn't possibly fit inside the station. Umbrax shadow forms moved about, working on strange machines. In the center stood a massive crystal structure pulsing with dark energy. "That must be their dimensional folding device," Rivera whispered. "It's how they've stayed hidden all these years." Before they could move, an alarm sounded. The Umbrax had detected them. Shadow creatures swarmed toward the team. "Spray them," Sarah ordered. The team fired their weapons, releasing clouds of the synthetic dog sala compound. The first wave of Umbrax solidified, becoming trapped in physical form. But then something went wrong. "They're adapting," Dr. Patel shouted over the comlink. "The compound isn't working anymore." The remaining Umbrax surrounded the team. Their dark forms shifted and changed, becoming more solid, more threatening. The team's weapons were useless now. "Retreat," Rivera called. But it was too late. The Umbrax blocked their escape route. They were trapped, communications jammed, with no way to call for help. Sarah looked at Max and the other dogs, who were barking furiously at the shadow creatures. An idea formed in her mind. Desperate, but possibly their only chance. "Release the dogs," she ordered. "All of them." The handlers hesitated. "Do it," Sarah insisted. "Trust me." They unclipped the leashes. Sarah knelt beside Max. "Go get them, boy," she whispered. "Show us what dogs were born to do." Max charged forward, and the other dogs followed. What happened next astonished everyone. The dogs didn't just bark at the umbrax. They attacked with purpose, working together like a pack of wolves. Where the synthetic spray had failed, the natural compounds in their saliva worked perfectly. The umbrax couldn't maintain their phase-shifted state when in direct contact with the dogs. One by one, they became solid, vulnerable. Station security, alerted by the energy fluctuations, broke through from the other side. They captured dozens of solidified umbrax, while the dogs continued their relentless pursuit of those trying to escape. At the center of the chamber, Max cornered the umbrax leader, the shadow being looked into the dog's eyes with what almost seemed like respect. "You were designed better than we anticipated," it said. Perhaps Earth was never truly ours to control. 1 month after the battle at the umbrax headquarters, Centaurus Station hosted the largest gathering in Galactic Council history. Representatives from all 27 member worlds, plus dozens of observer species, crowded the massive Grand Hall. The council leader stood at the center podium. "Today marks a new beginning for our galactic community. For centuries, the umbrax manipulated our civilizations from the shadows. Thanks to Earth and their remarkable companions, that era has ended." Sarah sat in a special place of honor, Max resting calmly at her feet. Around the hall, at strategic points, other dog handler teams stood watch. The dogs had become the most valuable security assets in the galaxy. The council had undergone radical changes. Several high-ranking officials, discovered to have been long-term umbrax hosts, had been replaced. Earth, previously considered a minor newcomer, was now elevated to a full council position with voting rights. After the ceremony, Feln approached Sarah. "The umbrax we've captured tell us they've been visiting Earth for over 30,000 years. They influenced many species, but only Earth's dogs evolved to detect and fight them." "What will happen to the umbrax now?" Sarah asked. "Those we captured will be contained in special facilities," Feln explained. "The rest have retreated to unknown regions of space. I doubt we've seen the last of them." The Galactic Security Council had already implemented new protocols. Every major government, military, and commercial installation would now include what they called K9 units, specially trained dogs and their handlers. Earth had suddenly become one of the most important planets in the galaxy. Ships arrived daily, carrying diplomats seeking to establish relations and scientists hoping to study canine genetics. "I never thought I'd see the day when our biggest export would be dogs," Captain Rivera said with a laugh. 1 week later, Sarah stood before the council to accept her appointment as Earth's first ambassador. Max sat proudly beside her, wearing a special collar marking him as a galactic hero. "On behalf of Earth, I thank you for this honor." Sarah began her speech. "When we first came to the stars, we had little to offer compared to your advanced technologies. Who could have imagined that our greatest contribution would be our oldest friends?" She looked down at Max with a smile. "For thousands of years, dogs have been our companions, our helpers, and our protectors. They guarded our homes, helped us hunt, and comforted us in times of need. All along, they were also protecting us from threats we couldn't even perceive." Feln, now head of Galactic Security, joined her at the podium. "Our scientists believe that the special bond between humans and dogs formed because, on some level, humans always knew dogs were protecting them from the shadows. This connection grew stronger over generations." As Sarah finished her speech, Max suddenly perked up his ears. His body tensed, and he turned to look at a dark corner of the chamber. The entire room fell silent. Sarah smiled calmly at the assembled representatives. "It seems," she said, "that our work is not yet finished." Across the galaxy, dogs continued their ancient mission, guarding not just one planet now, but thousands. The umbrax and other hidden threats would always exist, but they would never again operate unopposed. Earth's ultimate threat detectors were on the job, and the galaxy slept safer because of them.